Okay, so yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to another webinar. So the markets have been a little bit choppy this week, as you guys could tell with GJ here. We're gonna go over GJ and gold. Just GJ and gold today. I don't really want to cover the SPX. I mean, I could, but I would probably kind of just stay away from it at this point in time. So I would like to see what the daily time frame does here. I'll probably do a quick breakdown on it. But really quick, after this webinar is over, I'm gonna have 3 psychology videos go up on the course so you guys could watch that. Let me know what you guys think on the psychology videos. Basically, what I'm doing with the psychology section is I'm just grabbing multiple different topics and breaking them down as best as I possibly could in the span of, let's call it 5 to 10 minutes, just so you guys can really comprehend as much as possible. I'm not going to be making like a 30-minute video talking about greed. You know, everybody's going to get bored after 10 minutes and kind of just skip through it or not watch the entire thing. So let me know if you guys like that style of video for the psychology section. So those 3 videos will be going up probably right after the webinar.
Did we
Anyway,
ever get any live trading like with you or like anything like that?
you know, I've been wanting to work on those videos because I intended on it when I first made the course, but a lot of the trading that I've been doing has been from my laptop and not really on my setup itself. And my setup is where I like to record. So probably later on, once things start settling down with the other projects that I've been working on, I'll probably start doing live trading videos again, right? But as of right now, I don't plan on it anytime soon. I would like everything else to be back up and running. So FMS, signals, and then I have a few other projects going on. So after that is settled and you know everything's running, I'll start working on that. But all right. So GJ has been pretty interesting over the last few days here. So what I've been looking at on GJ, I'm still kind of on the short bias side of things, right? So this head and shoulders pattern, if you look at the left shoulder, the head, and the right shoulder is still playing out and is still valid. I wouldn't start looking for GJ buys ultimately, at least from a long-term perspective, unless we could see a break above 154.500, which would be this high here on the daily time frame. Really, you could start looking for buys about above 164 flat, but ultimately, you know, buys will be a lot more confirmed if it breaks above 164.500 for like a longer term perspective. And then if price breaks above 164.500, then you know GJ has the potential to go back up until 167. But that would be a pretty big move. As of right now, you know, one thing that you have to understand about the market is that trends come and go. So really, for me to want to actually continue to look to buy on this bullish trend, we would actually need to see a break of 164.400, 164.500. But the way the daily time frame currently is forming is what we can see is this head and shoulders is still kind of pretty valid. It still looks good in terms of like the pattern itself. Taking sells again on this right shoulder would definitely be more aggressive. If we look at the daily time frame and we look at what the daily time frame is actually forming, we look at the highs on the daily time frame. What we could see is price slowly forming lower high points. Remember, 164 flat is that round psychological level as well as a level of resistance. So with the daily candlestick wicks getting lower and lower, we could definitely potentially expect price to continue to actually drop. Right now, GJ clearly is struggling to break under this previous area of support. Let's kind of adjust this and let's call support at around 162. Let's put it at 162.400. That's what we're going to be looking at for our level of support, where we also do have resistance along this range here. So if GJ can actually break under 162.400, which is our support level, then we should see a pretty clear passage for GJ to come back down into, let's call it 161.300, 161.200, so 161.400. So that's a pretty clean move from this point to this point, which is roughly 90 pips. However you guys would want to trade that ultimately would be up to you as the trader, as individual. You could always wait for the break and retest, or you could look for the breakout. But anywhere in between this range, I'd be very cautious to trade GJ. Realistically, if you're going to be looking for buys on GJ, then ultimately you want to be buying at support. If you're going to be looking for sells, then ultimately you'd want to be looking to sell at resistance. Anywhere, taking a trade anywhere in between is very sketchy. Like last night, if you guys pay attention, right, a signal was called and price went up to about TP3, which is 3 times the risk of what the stop loss was, and price went right down right after that. So kind of taking a trade in between here, I wouldn't look to hold positions for too long, because again, this is that point in time where it's kind of been like no man's land, it's kind of been a highway, right? So if you're going to be running across a highway versus running across a point where you could actually walk across where the cars have to stop, it's going to be a lot more safer for you than just kind of, taking a trade in this choppiness, right? So it's either sells at resistance or buys at support. Ultimately, I wouldn't really look to buy because of the way the daily time frame is forming, the way these lows are getting or these highs are getting lower. What I would wait for is for price to either push up into 163, 868 to look to short. Although I don't see price doing that. Or I would also wait for price to actually break under this 162, 400 to then look to sell into 161, 400, which is about a 90 to 100 pip move, let's call it. So that's what I would wait for on GJ. I'm still short biased on GJ. Only thing is, again, I'll change my short bias once price could break above this area of resistance, call it 164, between 164 and 164, 500. That's when I'll start looking for buys. Now, if that does happen, so you guys can just, again, mentally prepare yourself, what do you have to wait for? Again, the concept is all the same. If price breaks above resistance, we're going to wait for price to come back down to resistance, wait for resistance to hold the support, look for that break and retest, then look to buy it back up into its original highs that I made before actually pulling back, which in this case would be there, right? Now, with gold is a little bit different. So one thing we discussed about gold is I actually never ended up taking that short position on gold because I never got the pullback that I wanted to. But gold did actually end up going down to the targets I was looking at, which is 1873.75 being the support zone, which is the first target, and then 1863, kind of 1863 flat. Looking at it from a perspective on the daily time frame, we definitely see gold rejecting this area of support. I don't like that, but we definitely see gold actually rejecting this area of support at 163, 400, call it. But it's not really like a very strong rejection that I would say, you know what, we're most likely going to continue going bullish in this area, right? You have different price action signals. This isn't a signal that would really want to make me look for buys overall. Kind of unlike this area here, where this is a very strong rejection. This is a really great signal to actually look for sells off this major area of resistance, right? But notice this signal really isn't that strong ultimately. And then you look at the 4-hour time frame and we see prices actually kind of struggling to continue to actually trade higher. Then we look at the 4-hour time frame market structure. This is our previous lower high point. What did price kind of look like it did? It came into our previous lower high point where it then rejected. So I would continue to look for sells under this 1880 zone. But if price were to break above this 1880 zone, I would wait for price to pull back up into this area to then look to go short again. If price were to then break above, I don't know why I'm in iTunes, but if price were to then break above this 1895 area, I would then look to go long. It's very simple, right? Because we're looking at the overall trend itself being bearish. Once price starts to break this area of resistance here, then breaks this area of resistance, I would look to kind of change my bias at that point in time. But that's kind of a long point away. Now, when it comes to gold, really the two setups I would really only be looking for is playing it a lot safer. I would like to see a break back under 1860, where I'll then look to possibly go short from that 1860 area. Other than that, I wouldn't really look to take a long position because this bearish condition is very strong and I wouldn't want to fight against that. It's just kind of unnecessary risk that I'm not willing to take. There's definitely probably some people in here that would take a counter trend because this is a major level of support, but we're not seeing like really strong bullish reaction out of this area of support, right? Now, it'd be a different story if price were to start breaking the highs and we see really strong signs of like, a possible bullish condition. But this isn't a strong rejection here. It is a rejection. It's not a strong rejection, not one that I would completely change my bias for, right? So at this point in time, it's kind of just a waiting game on gold. Definitely, I would look to go short. Now I'm asking myself, if price does break this support level, where could we possibly go short to? Really, the next, I'm going to say long-term projection would be this area down here, right? So 1834, which is a huge move, but before price gets to 1834, we need to see a break of 1851. So these are the three areas I'm kind of paying attention to as of right now. The first target would be 1851 to look for sells because of all of this that happened over here, and we're currently price rejected. If price breaks under 1851, we'll look for 1834 because that is the nearest area of resistance, kind of just right after that. So that's what I'd be looking for. Really, anything above this, I would like to wait to actually look to go long because there's not enough confirmation yet to go long. And let's say price does actually go long. Really, we would like to see the buy signal for the long actually happen next week. Again, like all time frames have to be in sync, right? Let's say this is the current weekly candlestick, right? Most likely it's just not going to flip over and go bearish or go bullish. It'll probably kind of just consolidate for a little bit, and then the next week it'll actually be that big buy signal where we will see buys come right after. So we could potentially see that play out, especially with this break and retest here on the weekly time frame, where we do see the bullish engulfing for next week. So gold, let's just be a little bit more patient with it, wait it out, see what it does. Let's say long-term price does reject this previous area, then I'm actually going to adjust this a little bit. Then we'll look for price to come back into, I want to say, this 1916 level, which would make the most sense next. So anyways, right now it's kind of just a waiting game. Let me know if you guys have any questions on either gold or GJ, as those are the only two pairs that I'm actually looking at right now.
Go back to the 4 hour real quick on gold.
All right. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, I just want to see that level. Appreciate it.
All right, cool. So, any other questions? Anything anybody wants me to cover?
Yo, Raul.
Good, bro.
Hey, bro. Question for you. Do you trade off any 4 hour levels or just strictly daily?
Well, a lot of these levels are 4 hour levels. Like if you look at this level here, 1894 is a 4 hour level. 1817 is a 4 hour level that I've marked off. I do look at the bigger picture zones as well because they could help from a long-term perspective. Like looking at the weekly at this point in time is we definitely could see price go bullish, but I wouldn't look to buy right now just simply because the way the lower time frames are forming, it doesn't look like the lower time frames are ready. I would like to see maybe a little bit more consolidation and stronger buy signals than, looking to take buys right now, especially tonight.
Okay, cool. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Raul, can you break down S&P 500?
I mean, really, I'm not really looking for anything on the S&P 500 right now. Only thing is price rejected this area of support. So it definitely could continue to trade higher from that. There is bullish divergence on the R side. There's a double bottom here, so you can expect buys from the S&P 500. Also looking at the 4 hour time frame here, what we see is price break back above support, retest, and reject support multiple times. So the next area I look for the S&P 500 to go to is these 4 hour highs right here.
Hey, Raul, quick question for you. Can you go to the hour chart on GJ for me, please?
Yeah.
So let's say we have a scenario where we get that break under 162 to the downside, right? And then we're waiting for that lower high to print. When that lower high, starts to form, in your experience, like what are you looking for? Like an evening star setup on the lower high? Like what type of entry candle setup are you looking for?
Goes down, breaks. Stops at
right.
Pulls back. Right. What I'll look for at first is a rejection candlestick like this on the hour time frame. Other than that, what I'll wait for on an hour or 30-minute is either, again, entry candlestick signals, an engulfing, a variation pattern, right? Something along the lines here, like, hey, this is rejecting and it's a strong signal to go short, right? So something along those lines there. But then I would also have to keep in mind what we're doing on the 4 hour time frame as well. So really, I would just look for that break and retest if I'm going to go short based off of break and retest. Because if you want to be a little bit more risky, you can always trade the breakout, which really you just be looking to go short from the break of the lows. And then you kind of look for a risk-reward ratio that you'd be comfortable with in terms of the stop loss, which is definitely a lot more risky. I know people trade like that, but I'm just giving you different perspective on things.
No, I appreciate it, bro. And then one more thing, and then the inverse setup, right, above 164 will be the same as that thing, that break, the retest, look for the variation, and then we do it to go, right?
Yes.
Got you. Okay, thank you, man.
Yeah, no problem.
Yo, Raul.
Good, bro.
On GJ on the 4 hour, like where would you say the break out of the uptrend would be? Like I needed like a little help identifying the break on the 4 hour for GJ.
So let's say I'm looking for GJ to go short, right? For me to not want to go short anymore and change my bias, I'd want to see a break of at least 164, 150 because that's a high. So if GJ breaks above this high, like let's look at the market structure points at this point in time, right? We have a high, we have a low, we have a high, and then price is kind of just floating right now. So if GJ breaks above this point and comes up to here, what does that look like? Right? We have higher high, higher low, higher high. So then essentially we'll wait for price to pull back to look to go short and wait for that next higher high to essentially make money on.
I bet.
Yo, I got one more thing for you, bro.
Yeah.
With a break and retest, I heard you say before you wait for the 4-hour candle to close.
Yeah, I'll look. It depends on the setup, really. But typically, I like to wait for the 4-hour rejection first, and then I'll go down to the lower time frame to see what's going on.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing, bro. And I found the most success out of that. Instead of like, I used to trade off a break and retest off the 1-hour time frame or a retest on the 1-hour candle. I get faked out a lot because that 4-hour candle wasn't, done closing.
Trading, exactly. So I like to wait for the 4-hour candle close first, and I like to verify the rejection on the 4-hour candle because then it gives me a better base on the trade.
Awesome. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, for sure.
So I have a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, what's up, bro?
Hey, brother. So for this GJ right here, right? Let's see. Well, do you think there's like opportunity to like trade it on the 15 and 30-minute time frame with the flowing that's going on right now, or would it be like waiting after like Asian session?
I mean, you could, but the thing that I've seen right now with GJ, especially like on this hour time frame, right, is we have a high, we have a lower high, we have a low, and notice how buyers tried pushing price up, but it came back up to this high, rejected, and we're right back down making a low. So we definitely could see price break to the downside. I'm just going to be more patient with it and wait for a little bit more confirmation if you want to be a little bit more conservative, if you're not already short, like up here in this range.
I see. Now, if you was to go back on the 4-hour or daily, and is there a way, or like I know you don't use Fibonacci a lot, but is there a way that we could determine a Fibonacci from that high point to that low point, and go based off those Fibonacci levels?
The thing about it is like so many people draw fibs in so many different ways. You could draw a fib from this point to this point, see a 50% pullback. You could draw a fib from this point, see a 50% pullback, right? So in a situation like this, it's more reliable to focus on support and resistance levels because if this level of support breaks, it's going to go right back down to the next level of support, which you then have to identify. Where's the next level of support? It's right here, 161, 430. Which, if that level breaks, it'll go down to the next level of support, which is 159. Let's call it 160.
Thank you, my boy.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
It's good.
So basically, for GJ, you're waiting for like a break and retest somewhere, or you more bearish or bullish, or?
I'm more bearish right now on GJ.
All right, thanks, bro.
The way the moving averages are maintaining like red over blue here, I'm still more bearish.
All right, thanks, Boss.
Yeah, I'll be bullish on GJ if GJ can break above 164, 150.
Yeah. Yo, what's up, bro?
Good, bro.
Can you break down gold? I got here kind of late, bro. Can you break down gold and GU?
Basically, gold is just kind of weight, right? I mean, you can look at like the more in-depth breakdown when I post on the webinar, but gold is just a situation for waiting.
Pullback rejection.
GU at this point in time, weekly, daily. GU is in a position where it looks like it's just going to continue the trend although this is not something I'd be comfortable with because it's not like a big pullback, although it could continue to go down. If you look at the 4-hour time frame, you have a high, you have a higher low, you have a high, you have a low. So, I would look for sells on GU if it could break under this 4-hour support, back down into this 4-hour level of support. I would look for buys anywhere above this 4-hour level of support for it to come back up into this area up here.
For sure, bro. Fucking thanks, fuck, bro.
Raul, does gold and silver move the same?
Similar, but I wouldn't really pay attention to that all too much. Overall, if commodities are going to go up, commodities are going to go up, yes. But, I would just kind of focus on each setup individually.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Yo, what you think about all the news tomorrow with with gold?
I mean, it's in a few weeks, so everything's going to be choppy. I would just say, if you're going to be looking at high impact news, just stay away from that pair of the market. It's not worth trading news. There's a lot of liquidity grabs in news.
Is it a bank holiday for JPY?
Let's see.
It's Monday.
Yeah, I thought it was on Monday.
Yeah, I'm looking at my Forex Factory right now, and it says all day JPY bank holiday.
That's for the 3rd. And
so that was today. Okay. I see.
Yeah, there's news for the rest of the week. And there's a bank holiday tomorrow too. So that's definitely going to affect GJ. We're going to have to see how. Wow, there's a lot of news this week.
Yo, have you transitioned over to New York session yet? Or what do you plan on doing with that?
I haven't just yet, but last night I fell asleep at 10, woke up at 5, and then I went right back to sleep because we had a big project to work on today for FMS. So I literally haven't traded at all this week. I've taken one position on GJ, which was sells up here, but I ended up getting out, pretty much in this area here. So it wasn't really like a great trade either.
Got you. Do you plan on transitioning soon, or are you kind of still 50-50 on that?
Thing is, I don't know. I am still kind of 50-50 on it. I just don't know what would be easier for me in the future once my daughter is born. So I'm still kind of figuring that out.
I feel you. I definitely understand. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yo, Raul.
Yeah.
Question. So when the signals are sent out, everybody's been saying that there's been a delay. What is the time frame that you guys are looking at for putting the signals out for GJ?
30 minutes.
Because you said the 4-hour. So, because what happened originally, like when I started, was my stop loss kept getting hit immediately because I didn't have that big of an account size. And so I was trading, big lots, like one standard lot rather than small.
Yeah.
So, and so it didn't blow the account, but, I went negative real fast because I didn't have the trade in at the same time. And then, take profit 1 and 2 was hitting. So I'm just trying to figure out like when you're doing this breakdown here, you're looking at the 4-hour. So the last 4 hours is going to be what? Like about, I think 10 probably, right?
Essentially what I would do for the signals, right, is typically there's a message sent out be somewhere along the lines, saying something along the lines of like, all right, we're going to look for sells under 162,500 support or buys above 163.50 or 163.500, right? Once you see that message, you can actively monitor price. And if you see prices breaking 162 support, really just get ready for your risk management, right? Because the signal room is always anywhere between 10 to 15 pip stop loss. So you just prepare for a 10 to 15 pip stop loss. Once you see the trade actually called out, then literally just press buy or sell. That's how I would prepare for it. When people say there's a delay, there's not a delay. The message is sent out right away as the signal is called and as the trade is taken. The delay comes in. Okay, what's the signal? Enter here, stop here. Okay, then they got to go on to their NT4, NT5, put in the lot size, do the calculation.
Right.
That's where the delay comes in from the client side.
But as far as the time frame that I should be looking at, like I was looking at like the 1 minute to 5 minute.
I would say 15 should be good.
15 minute?
Yeah.
Okay. And okay. No, I'm all set. Thanks.
No, go ahead.
Will there be signals tonight?
Yeah.
Question.
Normally called from like 3 to 5.
Yeah, between that time frame.
Yeah.
Thing is, it's bank holiday, right, for JPY today and tomorrow. So it's kind of like, is it worth calling a signal? Because it's just added risk. But most likely there will be one.
So everything is solidified with the yearly now? Like today, like good?
Yeah.
Okay.
What happens if you like for example, I paid for the signal last month, but then that was the time where you told us to leave the signal room. So now I'm out of the signal room because you guys closed the new levels. So what should I do? Should I just pay for another?
So did you pay credit and debit?
Yes.
And this was for NLS?
Yes.
So did you get signals from, when was it, March 1st to April 1st?
No, because that was around the time where you told us to leave that signal room because we were supposed to go to another one, I guess.
So with the last signal room, right, what happened is literally right after the launch on the 2nd or the 3rd, the merchant stopped accepting payments from any clients. So we waited the 30 days to be able to transfer over to a different merchant, except for PayPal. PayPal is still the same. So from that point on, we waited at least for everybody, or at least 80-90% of the people to get the 30 days before actually transferring over, which you shouldn't have been billed again if you paid either credit or debit card because the merchant's not accepting new payments. On the contrary, anybody who paid through credit or debit card is probably getting a refund. So you guys got that entire month for free, except for anybody who paid on PayPal, because the merchant literally just does not want to be working with us.
Okay, so then my best bet is to just go to the new link and pay for another month.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, if that's what you want to do, if you want to join the signal room or if you want to wait until we find a better solution. We're definitely not going to be transferring signal rooms over anymore. We're trying to get back with the merchant that we currently do have. Worst case scenario, they deny us, we're just going to go to an app.
Okay.
Hey, Raul.
Yeah.
I have a question about the EA.
Yeah.
So I passed the verification for the FTMO,
Okay.
but they found out like that I have supposedly like I've been using the same trades as somebody else.
Okay.
I got an email and they denied me.
So
So
it's the same situation as, what's his name? I believe his name is Adrian. In a did they offer you a refund?
they offered me a new account, but I can't use the same strategy.
So in that case, I would just wait. Or I'd ask for a refund and use that money and put it in a different funded company. So what I did was I sent a list of 25 different funded companies that actually allow EAs that don't have a maximum allocation rule, which I was looking into my Forex funds and I contacted support and they didn't say anything about a maximum allocation rule. Really what they just looked at was a few different EAs that they didn't allow, which REA pretty much meets the criteria.
Yeah, Raul, my Forex funds also blocked some of my accounts.
They blocked some of your accounts?
Yeah, because saying it was third party EA.
That's weird because I sent them my EA for, not my EA. I sent them the EA for one of the accounts because they have an account where they have to approve the EA before you can link the EA to the actual account, and they approved it. So the one thing you got to remember with these funding companies is they are subjective to who they want to allow, because if the company that you're trading with doesn't actually back traders with capital, right, which almost all of them, they only back a certain amount of traders, a very small percentage. Again, you have to look at the business standpoint from the funding companies. They're only going to back real money behind 10% of people. The rest of the people, the 90% that are being in those funding companies, those clients, they're not getting backed by actual capital. So if they see you as a potential risk and they can't copy your trades to a live account, which typically a lot of the times they can't copy your trades on an EA to a physical live account, they're just going to deny you from an account regardless.
As in, what should we do? Because we can't use AI.
I don't know why, because myself, the Golden Owl EA team, they have like 4 or 5 funded accounts with the EA, right? And then we have other people, obviously, that have the EA there. I'm going to be looking into different solutions, right, and seeing different ways that they can. I just had a meeting with them about that earlier, and I'm going to talk to them about it after as well. But I will also look into the other funded companies I sent as an option.
Where did you send those other funded companies to?
Directly on the chat, in the Asian chat.
But you already lost lots of money. I also paid for FTMO, my Forex funds, and they are not refunding.
I'm sure that there's more than the max allocated capital with this specific EA on FTMO, because just with Alessandro alone, he has 400K on the EA, and then my account is 200K. So they're literally just kind of picking and choosing at this point, this isn't just been a problem with us. This has also been a problem that I've been finding out with a lot of different people. So at this point, I'm talking to their team to see what we could do and how we could solve this issue, which they already have a few solutions that we're going to start working on now. We're going to get into a meeting literally right after this webinar and start working on those solutions so we don't run into these problems later on with more people. Because as of right now, it's maybe a handful of people.
Yeah, but what if you can solve the problem? Will we be refunded or something like this? Because you paid lots of money.
I agree, but the problem is they're not going to refund you the money just simply because you already have the product.
Yeah, but we can't use this product anywhere. We can just use it.
The product to a live account, which is something that was said and was promoted as well. Although the focus is on funded accounts, because not the majority of people don't have $20,000, $10,000 to just put behind an EA. Because this EA wasn't made specifically to pass funded accounts. It just so happens that the settings that we sent out were modified for you to be able to actually stay within those risk parameters as best as you possibly could with the equity stop on the preset files.
But isn't that what you advertise on like multiple Instagram stories, that it can pass challenges on prop firm accounts?
Yeah, which it has been, and that's where the track records come from with the EA. But we also did say that you can connect this to Live Capital because a lot of people did ask. Now, the focus of the advertisement was to pass the funded challenges. Obviously, this is a new problem that we're facing as of right now, is people getting their accounts shut down.
Yeah, because most people bought the bot because they don't have their own capital to pass the challenge and earn from prop firms.
Yeah.
Yeah, quick question. What about like if you was to do something like run? Because I've heard you say just run the bot Asian session. Like you ran an Asian session, then traded like New York. Do you think that would be like, if you had a few trades of your own, like you just completely turn the bot off and then trade you on your own? You think that would be something that could kind of like get you past that little hiccup?
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, if the funded company wants to shut you down, they will. Because I've had accounts shut down just because they say it's microscoping when I wasn't microscoping. You know, it just depends on the company itself.
How do they tell? Like the bots are taking the exact same trades?
Well, the bots aren't going to take the exact same trades. If you look at the EA, you look at the other EA, they're not going to take the same exact positions. It's just because of the way that the algorithm actually trades, the EA actually trades. So they say, oh, look, these are 2 EAs trading the same pair, right? We're just going to shut it down. Again, when it comes to
can we just change it to where? Go ahead.
You can even change the pair, and they most likely won't take the account down. The problem is, even when it comes to any funded company, if they don't want to give you the funded capital, they're not going to. It's literally as simple as that. You can look at what happened with Top Tier. You know, the kid made 130 grand. They didn't pay him nothing.
Yeah, because you sign a contract that says like it's at their disclosure or like at their how they want to, if they want to pay you out or not, right?
Bro, I don't care. Somebody owe me 128. I got my own contract. Fuck that.
That's just.
I'm sorry. They gonna see about me.
That's just the
I can't let that.
When it comes with when trading a funded company, like there's risks in everything in this industry.
Hey, Raul, can they mix up the trades?
What's good?
So just
Can't we just mix up the trades, use the EA, and then also use our own strategy to pass the accounts
Yeah, most likely.
to where they can't even notice it? You feel me?
I've seen a few people do that.
So you're not supposed to trade manually, but only when it's on. You can turn it off and trade.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you can turn it off. I did that, bro. Just go like when I was using the Titan tool before the buy, I would turn it off and then I would trade on my own. I would just go and hit the little X to close it off manually.
Yeah. So that way they can't just say we only using it.
Yeah, like if you run it for like a few hours, like my homeboy, he doing a challenge with my first one. He said he run it Asian session from like around 7 o'clock to like 4 or 5 in the morning. Then he trades New York on his own. I mean, it might make a couple $100 or so, and then he just trade New York.
You also don't want to just rely off of this bot to pass account too. If y'all want to become successful traders,
yeah, but just promoted to do
exactly.
So. We paid a lot.
Yeah, here's the thing, bro. Here's it. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, I understand the frustration, like, but it's kind of a rough situation.